We are. Sorry, I just saw the thing. We are live, I think. Are we live? Eventually. We are. Sorry, I just saw the thing. Okay, I heard myself. We'll start the song over. Hello and welcome to Movie Crap Live. We are here live on a Wednesday. Thank you, Cornbread. Thank you, Purple Goop. That Kevin James comment in the chat threw me, made me laugh. Because was it Bloxy said I'll be ready with Kevin James. Wait, he's here with you. He's here with all of us in our hearts. He's just sorry, the Kevin James thing. I know we joke about Kevin James a lot, but that made me laugh. That was funny. Okay. Anyway, let's get rid of these. How's hello, K-Master, Purple Goop, Cornbread, Bloxy. I'll get to you in a second. Anthony, congratulations, Pop. Javier Bartello, K-Master, Nathaniel Foga. I am good. And Cornbread Austin. It's been a hectic day, but let's switch over. Let's switch over to. This is back in the old days. Hi, I'm here with the first super chat brings me out thing. Maybe I should bring that back. Maybe I should. Maybe it's stupid. I don't know. Anyway, here is the energy drink tonight. I'm sorry I didn't post the clue until really I forgot, but I was also like, here's the name. I'm gonna take off the price tag. For tax purposes, I don't want it leaking how much I. Okay, whatever. Anyway, it's like this, which like I don't know. It's like Noco BCAA. I don't know how I would do a clue on this one. Maybe I just should have said it's blue raspberry. I don't know what clue I could have done. This has been in my fridge for a couple of weeks because I was like, other weeks I went, how do I do a clue for this? I still don't know. Anyway, so I think this was a hard one to get. Cornbread did not get it this time. When will Kevin James be cast as Spider-Man? I actually like, you know what though? He could be a good, he could be a teacher. He was a teacher on Liv and Maddie. So, he could do it again. All right, let's see what the hell this is. Pretty good. Okay. Thank you for that, Bloxy. That was a fun way to start everything off. Hello, Al Vasquez. I see Sinram is here. I see Chan Talks More Movies. He could. Ryan Walterson. Okay. Anyway, yes. We are here. Movie Crap Live. My daughter's I've seen Liv and Maddie, the whole run, so many times, because of Descendants, all the kids have seen Liv and Maddie. That's not I didn't watch it because I wanted to. Hello, Evil Ghost Ninja. It wasn't, it's not a thing. Although we do watch the New Year's Eve one every New Year's Eve. Dude, I know way too much about Liv and Maddie. You can ask me any trivia, I would get it. Trust me, it's not a. Is Dan here? Dan's here? Hey, Dan's here. Sorry, it's been a. Yeah. Oh, you want me to sing the theme song? Okay, I'll sing. Okay, better in stereo. Come up with the sunshine. Da 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 bumblebee. Da 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 da. See, I know it. Don't test me, guys. I know too much. I know about Parker. I know about who's the brother with the glasses. What's that name? Whatever. Fucking, I know too much. Just don't even. I have seen Liv and Maddie so many times. Sophie loves Liv and Maddie. I will say this though, Dove Cameron, not the best writing of that show. She didn't write it, but her acting, legit good. That seems like a hard thing to do, and she does a good job. I think she won an Emmy, deserved in my mind. Anyway, it stands for. What was it stand for? What? Branch chain amino acid. Dude, I've been broken for a long time. I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, yes, it's been a week. I noticed it's a bit slow on the movie news, probably because the world's falling apart. Also, the Oscar nominations, I think the week after everything kind of dissipates, we're going to talk about some stuff. I wanted to have more than one segment, but I just honestly didn't have the time today to watch another thing. But I did watch both of the Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, so... but it's probably going to be like a short thing, but I will talk more about that. I did watch both full thing, and I have thoughts on that. As for what I've watched in the past week, my wife and I watched Pop Culture Jeopardy, and that was a lot of fun. I actually enjoyed that. I've been wanting to watch it, and we finally did, and it was it's my kind of Jeopardy because I knew a lot of the things. It's a lot of fun. It's on Prime, that one, and we watched Back in Action, which is the Cameron Diaz thing or comeback thing, and it's like a fun Friday Saturday night watch. You have some beers and stuff. It's cool for that, but it's not really that deep. It was fun. She looks great. Not I don't know. She's her acting was good, all that. But I did learn after, like today, I was just like looking up stuff about it, and I found out that like that's the movie where Jamie Foxx had his stroke and like was in a coma for a while and stuff, and like he was filming that, and then they had to stop because of it. He had a stroke on set, and I was just like, I was like, why don't we talk? Like all the press, everyone I know is seeing is talking about Cameron Diaz. I'm like, the fact that Jamie Foxx is alive is just like, I was like, holy shit! I didn't realize that was the movie, but. Anyway, it's like I think Carry On is a better movie, but it's like if someone wants to watch it with you, you'll have a decent enough time. It's sort of like Spy Kids, but if the kids aren't spies and the grown-ups do stuff. That sounds horrible. Actually, I don't want to watch that movie, and I've already seen it. Anyway, Classic Cameron says, "Could you do a Zodberg? Could you do a 2-hour video essay on Liv and Maddie?" I couldn't. All I'd say about it. Seriously, I think Dove Cameron does a great job. And there's like little moments and stuff like that. But I don't know. I watch it so many times. I know Froyo Yolo. I'm not joking. Like I've seen every episode. The California years are not great. And then at the end, the last episode. Here's my one thing with it. The last episode, they try to pretend like because it like have like interviews in it, and then they try to act like. No, it's not Mr. Smith. Mr. and Miss Smith didn't have kids, Al Vasquez. They try to act like it was this show that only aired in like Europe or something, and they were aware of it being filmed. I was just like, what the fuck is this? Because they only have the talk to the camera things because Modern Family was just like massive at the time. Anyway, cheers to you, Classic Cameron. I mean, I don't really think of it critically. It's just a show my kid likes and we've seen too many times. And with anyone, it's like Christmas. We got to watch the Christmas one. It's sort of like become a part of it. Anyway, it's for little girls. That's basically what that show is. But I do think Dove Cameron as an actress is underrated. I will defend that. I think she should be offered more roles. Like that's not a easy thing to do. But anyway, oh no, I get Froyo Yolo stuck in my head. I think, yeah, Me and the Beat might be my favorite. Anyway, whatever, doesn't matter. I think I surprised everybody with that one. I didn't expect that. I'm trying to think if I watched anything else. I'm watching stuff, but it's like stuff that's gonna come out later. Do I have anything else? It's been a weird. Oh, hey, Caleb. It's been a weird. Anyway, been a weird day with Chinese New Year. Happy Lunar New Year, or Chinese New Year, however you say that. And what was I going to say? Oh, the Wallace and Gromit series. I would like the last one to come out on Friday. And I'd like to do like one of the Nosferatu's final Wallace and Gromit, and then the recent Nosferatu. But we'll see. No, that's the other lady. It was in Carry On. You're thinking of the other Descendants girl. But she was decent at that. But what was I gonna say? Sorry. I'm like, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah. I do hope to have Wallace and Gromit, the last one, out this weekend. If I don't make it to getting the series out in January, it'll be soon. But I'd like to differentiate the content. So if you're like not into one thing, you get another thing or something like that. That's my theory. I don't know. Whatever. We'll see. The next video will be the movie review vote. It would have been out last night, but I was working on it and I kept making dumb errors and I was like, it's time to go to sleep. So I think it'll be out tomorrow. Anyway, what was I going to say? I will talk about that in a second. Let me do this. There's 2 throwbacks this week. One was Strange Magic. It has been 10 years since Strange Magic. I posted this in the community thing, but in case you didn't see it, yes, it is actually true. When I saw Strange Magic, it was at the Court Street, which isn't there, RIP. But I left to go to the bathroom, and I was super paranoid about leaving my coat. Leaving my coat in a movie theater. Like, I always thought someone's going to steal it, which doesn't, I don't know. It was probably unfounded. I'm a paranoid person about stuff like that. So I took it with me, and then I noticed like other people got up, and it was like early in the movie, but I was like, I held it, and I was like, I should have peed during the trailer or something. But everybody left with me, and I thought, oh, they must all have to go to the bathroom, which was a really naive thing. And then I peed, and then I walked back, and I went, oh, they didn't have to go to the bathroom. They left. And I remember I was telling my dad's friend, and he said, wow, the power you had in that moment. You should have just like had them like do a task or something. Like, he was like, you had so much power. What did you do with it? I was like, nothing. I took a pee. So they all paid for Strange. I assume maybe they all got refunds. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, Disney didn't really care. I didn't look where it's streaming. So the next throwback will be Captain Underpants because of Dogman. I don't know when the Dogman review will happen, but we do plan on seeing it. But this weekend's a little crazy, so I don't know. That review will be out eventually. I do plan on seeing it with the kids, but the Captain Underpants movie review will be yeah, I was the king of the world for a moment and I pissed it away. Literally. What was it? I actually saw someone when I saw Jaws 3D, which was my first return to movies post-COVID, and a lady came in with like a ton of food, ate all the food, and then left. And she was late too. She was like significantly late to Jaws. So I sort of regret not doing a review on that but the one thing about that 3D Jaws thing, it was Jaws, the original movie, in 3D, not Jaws 3, which was released in 3D, which is confusing. But like anytime you look out into the ocean, you saw the depth of like you were actually looking out in the ocean, which was actually cool. Anyway, can you say... Sorry, bro. No, nothing saving that. Sorry. Anyway, but yeah, more stuff will come out and all sorts of stuff. And yeah, okay, so I'm going to introduce a new thing I wanted to do because this is a new idea I came up with all myself. Ryan Walchison said, okay, sounds good. So that means it's the greatest idea ever. I'm going to have a trivia section at the beginning of the show. And then possibly, if I have to leave for some reason and come back, just because I thought it was a fun way to kind of like kick things off. This is a new idea. We'll see how it goes. I might adjust this. And that's my idea. And let's... the 3D... water thing. I liked it, but I don't know. Anyway, here are some trivia facts I have. I'm gonna normally have 3, but I have 4 because I wanted to add one. Yes. Okay. First, one is a Wallace and... No, I'll start with a Shrek fact. I have a Shrek fact tonight. The dragon in Shrek. I actually got this from a YouTube video. I will post it on the Discord, maybe after the show, maybe tomorrow. Just to give credit for where I learned it. The dragon in Shrek is called Elizabeth. Now, the reason it is called Elizabeth is specific because Eddie Murphy was a huge fan of Red Fox and a big supporter of Red Fox. He put him in Harlem Nights. He produced Red Fox's last TV show. And it was actually sort of not just a reference, because you know how like Eddie Murphy or any comedian makes references, it was like sort of a tribute to a comedian he always liked. Red Fox was a lot more dirtier on stage. So DreamWorks agreed to name Elizabeth, the dragon Elizabeth, as a tribute to Red Fox. It was sort of a thing. Yeah, that is why the dragon in Shrek is actually called Elizabeth. It is a tribute to Red Fox that Eddie Murphy put in there. So it's sort of like a shared, like, he loved Red Fox. DreamWorks noticed that, and it was sort of a shared little tribute there, to my understanding. Next one. So this is a Wallace and Gromit trivia here. When this is in the latest Wallace and Gromit or Vengeance Most Foul, when Wallace answers the door at one point, I think that happens in that movie. A flat cap and blue-gray raincoat are seen hang up next to Gromit's yellow raincoat. This is actually a tribute to Wallace's original voice actor Peter Sallis, who wore that cap in raincoat. Who wore that cap and raincoat in the movie Last of the Summer Wine. So I thought that was kind of cool. I didn't notice that, but I like that they do like to have little tributes throughout, like trivia things. So I thought that was kind of a cool little tribute there to Peter Sallis. Obviously, he's not in the latest one. Like Jared's level is. Anyway, so here are my next two. These are quicker ones. I don't know. I didn't. You watched it 2 times? I mean, it's good. I get it. I was just surprised. This is a quick one because the Grammys are this weekend. I learned that the first woman to win the Grammy Award for Album of the Year was actually, you might think it's like Barbara Streisand or somebody like that. It's actually Judy Garland, who won in 1961 for her live recording Judy at Carnegie Hall. I know for a lot of people, Judy Garland is just Wizard of Oz, but she has a pretty insane career, and I didn't actually know that until recently, that the first female artist to win Album of the Year was Judy at Carnegie Hall. And then finally, this is one that I read on a Reddit, and anytime I've told people, they all go, they're all surprised by it, and I understand. Anyway, I was a little surprised by this too. Did you know that Peter Dinklage is older than Warwick Davis? Not by much, but Peter Dinklage is actually older than Warwick Davis. I've seen people react to this, and I think the reason you think Warwick Davis is older is because we've actually had a relationship on screen with Warwick Davis longer than Peter Dinklage. But Peter Dinklage is actually older than Warwick Davis. So, Be Kind Rewind had a great video, but I didn't know that. Anyway, so let's move on. That's kind of a new idea I had. I'll work on it. I'm going to just add trivia facts because I thought let's do something, because this segment's always sort of a weird mishmash, and I don't know. We'll see. If you let me know in the comments of this video if you like it. If you don't like the trivia thing, be like, Jim, that fucking sucks. That shit is stupid. Don't do that ever again. But if you like it, that's cool. I don't know. I try to come up with, I thought these were good trivia facts. I like to have good trivia. I'm not going to have things like, did you know Return of the Jedi is called Blue Harvest? That's crazy. Anyway. All right. So, this and, I guess I should, we'll just get into it. This and everything I do is, don't wait, hold on, Charles. I will have to say, everyone I know, my wife included, everyone who's British does not actually like his accent. That is an American thing, by the way. I don't know if you do that. That is British people do not like the Peter Dinklage British accent. Just so you know, he's fooled the Americans, but not the British people. Because a couple of British people have commented to me about that, including my wife. Anyway, this and everything I do is supported by you. Only you know what? I'll come up with one next time. All right, sorry. This and everything I do is supported by you, the fans, either through super chats during the show where I drink this, whatever this thing is. Hello, Caden. How's it going? It gives me energy to keep going, which I definitely need today. Trust me, there's a real fear I will fall asleep tonight. But, or during the show. I mean, I will fall asleep later, hopefully. Or through my Patreon, where you can get all sorts of cool perks, like the movie review vote comes out tomorrow. If you are a patron, you get a little more power in the movie review vote. So if you want to have that, you have a good amount of time before so you can do that, as well as my commentary series, all sorts of other exclusive videos. You get, an email when I have a new thing. You get to you get to have the first questions in the end of the show, and even if you can't show up to the show, you can have a question at the end of the show. All sorts of cool stuff like that to help me continue to do this. If you're ever like, I've gotten a few. I guess I should address this because I've gotten a few requests like, when are you going to do a podcast with someone else and stuff like that. To be honest, if I'm not trying to, I will specifically say this, that I don't have a ton of time and money and stuff to do things. So the more, if you want different things from me, the more support I have, the more possibilities I have to do that. I would like to do a podcast at some point, but it's just the time and money and wanting to sleep sometimes that keeps me from doing that. However, if you're financially able to give a super chat or do Patreon, I very much appreciate it. If not, just liking this video, subscribing if you're not already, or just watching is really cool. Thank you very much for the support. If you were able to do so, any support is really, I'm really thankful for it. Okay. And then, sorry, I didn't forget the Discord, which is going to turn 5 soon, actually. If you didn't know, it's a great community. If you like everyone in the chat who I am reacting to, talking to, everything like that, if you watch the show too early and for whatever reason YouTube takes forever to bring the chat up, but you hear me talking to these imaginary people, well, guess what? There is a thing that you can go on. It's there all the time. It's the Discord. It's in the description. It's a great community. It's the Discord I'm most active in. I ask them, like, what do you want me to talk about in Movie Craft today? We do daily questions. Someone asked, what was your Dragon Ball character? And they deleted it one time. I forget who it was. You should repost it, because I was going to write Sailor Moon and everyone would go, oh, Jim, you're so out of it. And I never got to. I felt bad about that. I was waiting. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But it all sorts of cool stuff happened. There's a licensed playing card channel. I posted these semi-recently. I'm losing the plot here. I should move on. Anyway, it's really great. Zane Powers and Austin do a great job. Ooh, okay. Let's move on. That was. Oh, I have a TikTok, which is still there. It doesn't feel the same now. But Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, they're all in the description. If you're on a social media thing that's not Threads, I'm not doing that shit. But if you're on any of the other ones, Tumblr, they're all in the description down there below. Anyway, if you would like to join me there. Okay. So let's get into it. So, the voice actor of the new Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which came out today, did the his name is Hudson Famous. Jesus. Said his quote was, when he was asked about the show, he said, I thought it was awesome. I mean, my biggest fear that it was going to be annoying and woke. And it wasn't. I was like, yes, this is great. It's so well written. Like, it feels real. I'm the oldest of 5 boys, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, this is kind of one of the more embarrassing quotes, especially when a show's premiering and they have yet to get to know you and it seems like you put a bridge between them. I'm a little confused on I don't normally talk about actors saying things. I guess the first 2 stories are sort of that, but I think both sort of get into, and I've actually heard like John Roca, I think, post a video like actors should just shut up. I do think there's some people who should get off social media. It's probably a hindrance, James Gunn in particular. But at the same time, I do think, I don't think everyone's should maybe be a little more media trained. I don't know what's going on industry-wise. You never would see quotes like this as frequently. But this just, the thing with the whole woke, when people say something is woke, is that they can't really define it. And like, as I watched the 2 episodes and I thought of this show, I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? Because like, I mean, is it like, what, I don't know what he means by Like, did he think Spider-Man? Like, I don't know. Part of me thinks is a reaction to Spider-Verse, which I guess is a very diverse film. You know, in terms of just, like in terms of animation, it's diverse. But also, like one of the things I like watching about is I watched it with my daughter and her friends once, and it's like everybody had a different, could like a different Spider-Man. You know, it's like multicultural and also multi diverse in terms of design. That's a wonderful thing. But I just think he doesn't really know what it means, because I was like, is it because Coleman Domingo is Harry Osborn? Like, I just didn't. I don't think he knows what it means to them. It's just like, oh, it's liberal at all. But I'm like, I don't know. I mean, if we want to get into it, I mean, the creators of Spider-Man's political beliefs are a whole bunch of a fucking mess right there. So this is, you know, par for the course for this character. But I do, it's like kind of like, Spider-Man and Marvel is already, I don't know what woke it just to me is like, I don't know what this means. I do think it, like, his portrayal of New York City was a little white bread, and I kind of think that's what he sort of appeals to him. I don't know. I think it's like, to me, like, he should not speak so much. It's embarrassing, and I don't think it helped the show. And it seemed to me like he wanted that quote to go through, because, like, the Collider, it's similar to, if you ever heard about what happened with the Liam Neeson quote when he didn't really got canceled. Norman Osborn. Thank you, Cornbread. Apologies for that. Norman Osborn, I mean. When Liam Neeson, like, gave that weird racist quote, and the reporter was like, do you want me to not publish this? Like, even though it's, like, a huge story? And it was like, yes, absolutely. And the reporter was like, I mean, I don't... For real, though? You really want me to, like, do this? I don't understand. But the creator said he misspoke. I don't think he misspoke. Anyway, actually, like, Ditko's biggest issue, since Al Vasquez bring up, wasn't Steve Ditko a right libertarian? His main reason he left is because Norman Osborn became Green Goblin. He disagreed with that. So as of right now, he liked the show, I guess. But I just think he's like people always. I think it's a bad idea when you're being introduced to say something that's stupid and insist upon it too. Is like, what? Like, I don't know. It just makes you not want to deal with. You know, it's like you. I think you should be like, oh, cool, Spider-Man. Oh, he's a cool guy. All right. And instead, you're like, I saw people posting like, I'm just not going to watch it now. And stuff like that. So I don't know if the creator says he misspoke. I mean, I just don't think. What do you say? Okay, that he misspoke. I think he just is a dumbass. But thank you for that, St. Paris. I didn't know about that. I just think he's a stupid actor who he probably should have been mainstream. But I do notice the woke thing. I mean, it basically just is like they just want white people and they don't want to have to deal with anything uncomfortable. I wish there was another term that was like I wish it wasn't like, oh, this is woke. I wish they'd be like, bro, I just want to be asleep. I don't want to know what's going on. I want to know about climate change. I want to be like that guy in the Matrix eating the steak. I want to be asleep. Like, I wish that was people would just say, I'm asleep. Like, I'm okay with that. I wish that was what it was. I think that would be a better term for these people instead of like this, like, is it woke? I'm just like, what does that mean? And I've seen the videos of them, but like this to me is like the antithesis of that. But anyway, I wish it should be, it's called being ignorant. Thank you, Rebecca Herrick, who tried. All right. The other one, and I think this is probably a much more interesting quote, and probably like one of the weirdest times to play Captain America is probably right now. Like, I don't think Chris Evans never played. No, he did. He did play Captain America during the Trump years. What am I fucking talking about? But yeah, he was it just Civil War? No, Civil War. Wasn't Civil War before? But I guess Endgame and Infinity War were during. So I guess he sort of played Captain America during Trump, but this is the first Captain America. So right? Civil War's 2016, like before the election, I think. Right? I thought 2017. That doesn't feel right. Anyway, point being is that this is the first, like, obviously, like, this election, this cycle, it's very different. And Anthony Mackie playing Captain America, it's his first one, obviously probably has a lot of thoughts on that. But he said, let me be clear about this. I'm a proud American, and taking on the shield of a hero like Cap is the honor of a lifetime. I have the utmost respect for those who serve and have served on our community. Cap is a universal character that played all over the world that people can relate to. Here's my thing about Captain America. I want to say this. I think when people hear the name Captain America, they think of patriotism. And I remember when they were trying to make Captain America movies, like, way before the MCU, and they'd say, like, how do you do that? Like that feels weird. Like, it feels too much, even though if you watch Air Force One, that is, like, insane in terms of the patriotism. So maybe they shouldn't have been so worried about that. But I've always looked at him when I was a kid as someone who is critical of America. Like, I've always looked at him that way. So it was never like, but I also was reading it and had, like, a grown-up explaining stuff to me. So I don't know, maybe you felt differently if you don't have that. But I've always looked at him as, like, almost that he is the Steve Rogers one, the kind of soul of America, and even if the government is doing something it disagrees with, he will still be this consistent, hardworking kind of person and stuff like that. And I think Sam Wilson kind of embodies that. He's like, he believes in the good and all this stuff. I think he's honestly a better example of, you know, if you want to be patriotic or something, of America than better than the actual government, because he will not agree with what's going on, which I think is one of the stronger suits of the character, particularly when post the World War II run and all that. But obviously he's a black man with Anthony Mackie playing him during this time and everyone being so weird about being woke. I think what he was trying to say there is, like, hey, I don't want to see these fucking dumbass woke quotes. But I also think he is also saying, like, you know, he is proud of the heritage of the character, and you kind of have to take that on if you're taking on a character like that. So I'm actually a little excited for the movie, although I didn't love the show so much, but I am curious where it's going to be. I know some people are like, the reshoots are a mess, but I've heard, like, a lot of reporters who talk about the reshoots be like, you know, Star Wars had a huge post-production thing. A lot of films had reshoots and stuff. That doesn't mean it's going to be bad necessarily. I think that's, like, a stupid way to think about it. Although they did have, like, major reshoots in this case, but still, that doesn't make it bad necessarily. But I am curious, and I hope he does a good job with it. But it is, like, a very complicated situation. And you know what the difference is between these two is? Anthony Mackie can do it at a convention and speak very well about something, like how he talked about how there's no movie stars. We've seen that video go viral so many times. He's a very eloquent spoken, smart guy, and he almost, like, from when he started, like, getting real momentum. I mean, I know I saw him in, like, 8 Mile years and years ago, but he was the guy who Eminem defeated, by the way, if you didn't know that. But I think there's certain thing about, like, an actor who can speak eloquently and one that will say, like, just dumbass shit and think it's relatable. And it's like, there's a difference in the long run with that, because a lot of these quotes, you know, the way media and stuff get, like, reused and reused and reused. And that Anthony Mackie quote at the convention about movie stars is still relevant and very smart and very well spoken. But, like, I look at it this way, is, like, there are quotes from, like, let's say Andre 3000 or 50 Cent or any of the rappers from 2003. One of the biggest celebrities at that time was Ashton Kutcher. I don't think anyone wants to watch an interview from him from that era, and not just because of everything that's happened since. Like, he's just an idiot. Like, he sounds stupid. And I think, like, having a real intelligent person have things to say is far more interesting than seeing someone be like, I'm relatable, I'm just like you, I'm stupid, bro, and stuff like that. Doesn't really age as well, to be honest with you. But nothing about Jesus, Ashton Kutcher. Ugh. I was thinking about that today. I was like, I don't hear much about him anymore. Probably. Well, there's probably another reason for that, but we'll not. Let's move on. But I think, like, in the long run, you want to have a smart. Like, we still hear about Jack Nicholson quotes. I still hear, be smart about it. I mean, it was like major reshoots, to be clear, in this case. But we're moving on. I think I talked about it. Sorry, I don't usually do the actor thing, but I thought this time it was kind of... All right, so we actually have two directors talking about movies and streaming and what has changed post-pandemic. And the first, you know what? I'm going to talk about Pete Docter's first, actually. Pete Docter talked about Soul in particular. And I saw a lot of people posting about how the kind of streaming era of Pixar and things going right to Disney Plus. I don't know. People act like that hurt. His Pete Docter's quote was, "Very few people talk about Soul because it didn't have the big theatrical impact. There's something indisputable about that. I don't think we had a choice. It was such a joy to work on. I feel disappointed that it came out and it got dropped into the ocean." I actually do hear kids talk about both Turning Red and Luca in particular. I think those, had they played in theaters, would have played very well. I hear they're referenced, particularly like my kids eat pesto every time we talk about Luca. I hear other kids talk about Luca. Those two are fine, to be honest with you. Encanto, for example, was a streaming hit more so than a theatrical hit. I disagree with what they're saying. However, Disney did not know what to do with Soul. I actually went into the Disney... I wish I took a picture of it, and there's like a whole thing of like the main guy from Soul is like little stuffed animals all over the place, and they're really pushing... Which was like, why wouldn't you do the Soul people? But whatever. It's kind of not a kids movie. Like, it's sort of like I like that Pixar did it, but like, kids aren't going to rewatch Soul 130 times like Encanto or Turning Red or Luca. And I just think it's like, I also think it's like Pete Docter's weakest movie. When I rewatched it, I liked it a lot less. I don't think it's a particularly great movie. I think it was kind of overrated at the time. That whole, like, that end of 2020 and that Christmas, everyone was like, we're going to get Soul and Wonder Woman 1984 and everything's going to work out great. And like, I don't think you could pay me to watch either of those. I don't think, does anyone want to talk about either of those movies? Like, is anyone like, man, like, I think I watched those like one night watch one night watch the other, and I was like, whoa. Soul was obviously the better one, and I think has some interesting elements to it. But of all those stream movies, like, I hear more about Raya than I do about Soul, and I don't actually, Raya kind of lasted longer with the kiddos than people give it credit for. But like, I think Soul was a difficult sell. They obviously like let Pete Docter, like, he took over Pixar. It was a tough thing. But it just, it was never going to be what those other movies are. And especially with the kids and stuff. I don't know. It's not horrible. I'm probably being too hard on it. I just, like, there's certain elements I didn't love as much. And I don't know. But it's interesting he would, like, bring that up. And I've heard, like, these things about streaming. But I think, like, he should bring into account, like, what Soul sort of was. But anyway. So Quentin Tarantino, who now has a podcast, and I sort of regret he does. First off, talked about how he's in no hurry to start this like long gestating final movie, whatever. But he's been saying that his son turns 5, and I have a 2.5-year-old daughter. When I'm in America, I'm writing. When I'm in Israel, he's a dad, which I'm How often are you in America? You can't write in Israel? What's going on with that? Him and the Israel thing is yeah, but apparently he's writing a play. It's probably going to be his next thing. If it's a big smash hit, he'll make that into his last movie. But he's like, I don't know if it'll be my last movie or something. Which is like, okay. But then he also said that the peak of movies was 2019 with, like, obviously Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Parasite, all this stuff. The thing is, like, I think 2019 was a certain peak in terms of financial. It was like Disney was making a lot of money. Like, if you look at the top 10, it's like, I think it's like all Disney, and the one that isn't is Spider-Man, which they got a percentage of. It was gross. The amount of money that was coming in and like all that stuff. And it did, like, even in early 2020 when like Collider fell apart, like Movie Press changed right after that. There's a lot of like huge changes going on. But I think at the same time, it definitely was a great year, but I don't agree with like things have changed. But I sort of think things are a little better because, like, even obscure stuff I can actually find now. There's more diversity in it. Like, just the Substance getting a Best Picture nomination is pretty great. We've had a lot, the A24 kind of horror thing has opened up in the last couple of years. But it's just like, when I look back on that year, it's just like a lot of franchises, like that stupid Lion King live action remake, like that Captain Marvel movie, which was like, honestly, I don't like talking about it because that was a weird experience for me specifically, but also, like, it's just, I don't know. I do think that was a big year, but Zane Powers' is a true chat said, is this the dumbest thing he ever said this week? Cheers to you. I think the one thing about Tarantino having a podcast is I would love it if he just talked about old movies he liked. I don't love hearing an old guy tell me how movies suck now. Because, like, what do you do? I don't know. I wouldn't mind if every now and then he goes, I saw Sonnenberg's Presence and it was neat. Or, like, I saw Wolfman and I hated it. I would like that more instead of these, like, some of them I agree with, like what Ryan Reynolds is doing with Netflix. Yeah, I don't love that. Like, he's a major movie star and everything's going to that. But, anyway, there's actually a lot of hope in the industry. I was going to talk about the box office later. And I think there's more hope than we're... Like, people are just being, in my mind, a little too close to... Just too quick to throw everything away because things are different. But at the same time, like, my thing with, like, when directors put down major directors, like Scorsese with the Marvel thing, I don't entirely disagree. But I think it means more when Scorsese says he loves, like, Maxine, or I think I saw the TV Glow, or like he praises something means more and is far more positive and gets people to see different movies. I think that's what we should be focusing on. And I'm so sick of this, like, everything sucks now, whatever. It's such a disregard because, I mean, one of the good things I like about this channel is I am sort of forced to see new movies and stuff. I feel like if I didn't, I would probably have like a shitty attitude and stuff like that. And most people don't. When you get older, people just go, I don't engage with that stuff. I don't, like, mess with my palette artistically and all that stuff. And I feel like that's sort of what's happening to him. And, he had kids and that happens to people, but it's just disappointing. Like, just like, let's get more people to see. If you don't like how things are financially and industry-wise, Tarantino has a lot of power. He could just say, this movie is really cool. You have to check it out. Then they would put it on the poster. Then someone who's like, I never go to the movies, but Tarantino loves this. Tarantino loves Sonic 3. I don't know. He said it's like the defining American movie of our lifetime. Which he would say, that, the great American movie is Sonic 3. And without Sonic 3, American cinemas would crumble, obviously. But it's like one of the reasons, there's a great animated film I saw, My Dog Tulip, and one of the things that first drew my attention was Mel Brooks liked it. And, like, use your power for good. I don't like this, like, you want to say, like, the Netflix thing sucks, sure, but don't like be like everything stinks now, like the theatrical windows and stuff. It's just like too much negative, man. Just like, I don't know, you got to put some. It just feels like you're a grumpy dude yelling at the clouds at a certain point. But yes, Anora. I bet he, old Tarantino would have liked Anora. All right, so Coyote versus Acme. You're probably like, you're still talking about this stupid thing. Isn't it never happening? Supposedly there was a funeral screening because they're sort of giving up hope. We heard from one of the co-stars said she loved. Hey Wessonator, how's it going? She loved. You've been gambling. Is that true? Okay. She loved the movie. She thought it was her best work. Warner Brothers did comment that they're still open to selling the movie to someone, and that the purchase price was reported too high and stuff like that. But so I'm like, okay. The thing with this is, like, with the Coyote vs. Acme thing, I do think, like, if it was on Max, it might do pretty well. I don't know. I think we have to see how The Day the Earth Blew Up does, but I haven't seen any advertising for that movie at all, and it's supposed to come out in February, which is next month, right? Like, I don't know. That makes me nervous because I was hoping that there was some faith in this. The funeral screening thing is a little different because I know Warner Brothers did other what's considered last screenings and stuff for things like Batgirl in particular. So, oh, you're really in Vegas? Okay. But I don't know. Did the whole Scoob movie leak? I think it was just some scenes from it, from my understanding. If the whole thing leaked, let me know. I'll review it actually. But I think it's unfortunate. But I think I think Looney Tunes is more prominent than people realize. It's just like no one, if you did Coyote vs. Acme and put some ads on MeTV Tunes and all this, really advertise it the right way, I think you could get certain people. But it is sort of like the Coyote and Roadrunner isn't exactly as big as it used to be. So I don't know. But I kind of hope they figure something out. But hearing that they're still like actually trying is hopeful, and it's still being brought up. And like, I think this is a good week to publicize it because like you're kind of, if you're doing a show like this talking about movie news, you need something, and so you're gonna talk about this. So they're smart to do it when they did it. I hope it comes out. I hope Zaslav gets over himself. I think they should just release it. And there have been a couple of movie people saying, like, the fact that it doesn't die is like, they should just figure it out. I don't think it's worth it at this point. Because the other thing is, like, how many filmmakers have been like, I don't want to work with Warner's because of this. Because they're just going to bury it or make my movie a tax write-off, Like, I don't see Gendy Tarkovsky working for Warner Brothers anymore. It works for Sony. It's like, this is how you lose people. And that's not really what you want in today's Hollywood, It's like, we're talking about auteurs a lot nowadays. And like, how many, is the director of Coyote vs. Acme going to make another movie in Warner Bros.? I actually didn't look it up. But to me, it's like, I think they should just release it. It just sucks because it sounds like kind of a fun movie, but we'll see. So Paul Rubens in a movie that's going to be called Pee-wee as Himself. It's a documentary which he was filming up until like the day before he died. Apparently, he sort of comes out in the closet in this documentary. Will come out on Max later this year. I am curious to hear his perspective about his rise and everything like that. I think that could be a great documentary. I'm not surprised. I was kind of thought he was gay, but I don't. We'll see what the deal is there. I do think it's sort of... It seemed to surprise people, but I didn't find it too surprising. So, if anyone wants to do any super chats to keep me awake, that would be appreciated so I don't get too sleepy or anything. All right, so I do have... Oh, this is something I've noticed not a lot of people are talking about, but The Bad Guys is going to have a short film before Dogman. It's called Bad Guys, Little Lies, and Alibis. I don't know if I'll do a separate review of that or anything. But I am a little hyped for Bad Guys too, so I am curious about. I need to review the first Bad Guys. Yeah, so if you're gonna see Dogman, you get an extra treat apparently. Um, so two Star Wars news that are going out. One, Ryan Gosling supposedly is heavily rumored and believed to be in Sean Levy's Star Wars movie, which seems to be the one that Lucasfilm is most interested in. I think it would be a good move for Ryan Gosling. But because he doesn't, after the Fall Guy and all that stuff, I think it would be kind of cool, and he has like a good kind of charm for that kind of stuff, and I think it would work for Sean Levy. Probably he's a little better with a movie star than when he's not. And also, and this I found interesting. Supposedly, this came out that because there's been this rumor that, and I watched Phantom Menace before the last show, so I was thinking about this. There's sort of this constant rumor that Natalie Portman should come back to Star Wars, or will she come back to Star Wars, and when that's going to happen. But apparently, she shot stuff as Princess Amidala for the Obi-Wan show, which I'm not sure how, because isn't she dead at that point? Spoilers, I guess not. But she shot stuff for Star Wars for the Obi-Wan show while she was making Love and Thunder, but they decided it didn't work in the show and it never came out. So apparently, like, she is open to it, but I've also heard rumors like she's not open to it because she like kind of cut her scenes. So she's like, I mean, she's kind of a decent sized star. I think she's probably like, oh fuck this, guys, come on. So I don't know, but apparently she did shoot stuff for Obi-Wan. And apparently she's a little open to it, but I think they really have to figure that out. But to me, it's like, I was thinking about when I was watching Phantom Menace, I wouldn't mind a prequel before Phantom Menace, because there's like, seems to be a lot of stuff like they don't really set up. Maybe they do that in books or comics or whatever. And like, between the movies you could probably do a little more in that period. But it is interesting they just cut out like Natalie Portman. They just cut out whatever. So this next one, these next two I think are interesting, but this next one's interesting because I actually sort of have like. Anyway, I'll get into it. So Zach Krieger, who is a big Hollywood's very high on because of Barbarian and his next film Weapons, which everyone is expecting to be a big, great movie. I hope it is. There's so much hype around it. But apparently he is making a Resident Evil reboot. Supposedly a lot of people wanted him to do sort of a franchise thing and wondering when he would or what the deal's with that. And there's been all sorts of rumors, but he wants to do a reboot of Resident Evil. It's going to take the title back to the heart roots and be more faithful to the initial games, like the original game and stuff like that. We sort of, I guess I went to school with him. We're in rooms at the same time. I don't think I ever really spoke to him, but I will say this, the people he used to hang out with had a couple times complain about how Romero didn't get to make his Resident Evil. So I was like, oh, crazy that he's doing that. Cause I definitely feel like I knew his buddies felt that way. I don't remember if he was there. Cause one of them, because the Whitest Kids You Know used to have like other members when I was in college. Because Zach Krieger was in the Whitest Kids You Know, and the other members would do like horror movie screenings in this dorm, and and I remember going there and hanging out. But I don't remember if Zach Krieger was there, but it's like kind of one of those things. Like, oh, I definitely remember like his sort of crew talked about that a few times. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. I think he could do a good job. Barbarian was very good. I get like why, but it's sort of kind of crazy how into Hollywood loves this guy so much right now. I'm like, wow, okay. I am really curious about Weapons, and I kind of want to rewatch Barbarian. Maybe I'll do a review of that when Weapons comes out and stuff. I thought Barbarian was really good, but it's crazy that like he's become this big thing. It's like, I don't know, but I do think a Resident Evil thing, like the Resident Evil original, I actually never really watched them because I was like, I heard about the Romero thing and I was like not interested, but we'll see about that. So this came out today, and I find this to be really odd. At first, I saw M. Night Shyamalan is making a new movie with Jake Gyllenhaal. I was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. That sounds like a thing that would happen. Those two. That sounds and then we find out that M. Night is writing it with Nicholas Sparks. Nicholas Sparks from A Walk to Remember and romantic novelist. Supposedly it is based on an original story created by M. Night Shyamalan, and it says on Deadline, global best-selling novelist Nicholas Sparks. They're independently writing a screenplay and a novel based on the same original love story. So it's going to be a book and a novel, a book and a movie. I'm not sure. I think Jake Gyllenhaal might star in both. There's no word on that one. But I don't know. This is definitely one of the weirder ones, but I think it sort of works for Shyamalan because as you know, he self-finances, so it's But I found it to be like one of the weirder. I was like, say what now? Yeah, they're doing what? I don't know, but all right. So. All right, this is. I thought this was funny, in a little bit, but so Jurassic World. Apparently, David Kemp, in an article that supposedly spoils presents. So I actually didn't read the article. I'm just going on quotes here. But he said that he reveals that there's a sequence in Michael Crichton's first Jurassic Park novel that they wrote into Jurassic World Rebirth. Sorry, they've always wanted it to be in the original, but never had the room, and they got to use it now. Clearly. This is the table of contents. Finally, I will know what chapters everything is. I will also know what the copyright. They don't even do the copyright thing in the book. They don't do the title page. There's so many things in it. They don't do like the end thing where it tells you other books by Michael Crichton you could read. Those could all be in this movie. I think that's a great idea from David Kemp. It sounds amazing. I'll finally know which chapter the Velociraptors show up in, so I can just like skip to that while I'm watching the movie. Or just like, time it and fall asleep or something while Scarlett Johansson's talking about like, oh yeah, he uses dinosaurs or something. I don't know. So, yeah. But, or what about the cover? Anyway. This worked better on Twitter when I just said fuck yeah, table of contents. But it is kind of like, I was like, David Kemp, I don't know. I'm a little super not into this idea, but I kind of want to see a much better trailer. Maybe we'll get that for the Super Bowl, which I'm now going to talk about. What we've learned recently is that Tubi will be playing the Super Bowl because it's a Fox thing. Since nobody really has, it maybe it's a T-Rex River scene. That's probably what it is. I think I read the book forever ago. I don't know. Tubi is going to play the Super Bowl this year. If you want to watch the Super Bowl and don't have an antenna, don't have a cable package or anything, you can watch it on Tubi, which is a big thing for Tubi. It shows how much faith Fox has in Tubi, which is either a good or bad thing. I'm not sure if it's going to ruin Tubi to have stuff like this, but they're going to get it. As well as, Ransom Film. It's been a while. As well as there's been several articles about, what's up, William Ellman? That the Super Bowl ads, they're saying there'll be more AI ads and less movie ads. But then the articles also couldn't confirm what any of the ads are other than the State Farm backed out, which we already knew because they backed out because of the fires in LA, and obviously insurance companies aren't looking good right now. So it's kind of like I've seen a bunch of articles like there's going to be more AI ads, and I'm like, okay, it's based on ads that have been purchased, and then they don't say that in the article. So I think it's just like that's what we think was going to happen, and I'm like, okay. I expect a Superman trailer. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a Fantastic Four trailer and they admit they're moving it because it coming out a few weeks after Superman is real dumb. Did they move it already and I forgot? Please, I hope that's not true. Anyway, I do know Superman is going to have a thing on the Puppy Bowl, but I expect a few movie trailers. There really hasn't been as much. Who knows what that Will Smith Matrix thing was about? I don't think he even. You know what would be hilarious if he was trying to get in the new Matrix and he didn't. And he made that stupid ass. Jesus. Anyway, I think the Super Bowl will be interesting. I know the SZA thing. I think I talked about last week. But it sounds like, I don't know. I think the problem with the Super Bowl thing is like you have these 2 weeks where it's like the Super Bowl is gonna happen, you guys, and then the media has to like flounder and like knows you'll be interested in these articles, but like there's nothing to share right now. So I supposedly they think because of Wall Street and because of spending, there will be more AI ads. We'll see. I expect a bunch of bullshit. That's what I fucking expect. That's what I expect. Okay, so last week I think we talked about this. How Greta Gerwig signed a deal. I think we talked about this last week. If we didn't all last time on Movie Crap, we talked about how Greta Gerwig had figured out a way to get The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe in IMAX screens in around Thanksgiving, and then it would eventually it'll be on in IMAX screens until Christmas when it'll be on Netflix. Now, if you know anything about Netflix, this is actually kind of an interesting story if this happens, and we'll see about this. But if you know anything about Netflix, they do play their movies in theaters because of contractual obligations, because of awards things, all sorts of things like that. But if AMC, Regal, Cinemark, name your chain, they don't like Netflix. They don't want to deal with them. They usually play it like the iPicks, which is sort of like a Alamo Draft House for shittier rich people. I mean, that's kind of what I notice. Any of these other eat-in theaters that aren't Alamo, and we have Nighthawk in New York, they're like, what if it's even more exclusive and you don't have to look at the pores when you see a movie? They don't say that, but like, I know what's up. Don't worry. Anyway, but supposedly Netflix is using this relationship they started with the Greta Gerwig thing to actually get more movies into IMAX theaters. And because they're dealing with IMAX and not AMC, Regal, whatever chain it is, they can actually get into these theaters because IMAX is like, well, if we don't have a big movie in this period, we could play a Netflix movie. Or let's because they always get stuck with like whatever, because there's nothing else coming out. And it doesn't actually do that well for them. But if they're like, hey, you have the exclusive, if you want to see, Lion, Witch, Wardrobe, or there's even been speculation about the end of Stranger Things or something like that. Like, not only do you get to see it early, but you get to see it in an IMAX thing, and so it can build hype. There's already been talk about Knives Out 3. But, like, yeah, it's actually interesting what we might see because of this Greta Gerwig thing, which she insisted on to have, is that Netflix will actually use IMAX to their advantage, and so they will play at the AMC with other movies. So it's like this is sort of an extra element to this. Apparently Netflix is trying to use the IMAX connection to get their movies in more theaters, and this is their only way they can really do that, since AMC, Regal, Cinemark, whatever chain is around you, wouldn't see you around, Weston Air. Thanks for stopping by. So it's kind of, I think if some of these films could benefit from like that Electric State or whatever that Russo Brothers movie that's going to come out around March, like if some of those movies would look really cool in IMAX, I actually sort of get it. But I am curious like how this does ultimately and whether IMAX will allow some of this stuff. But IMAX as a company is a little more interested in messing around with stuff, less there when they played the Game of Thrones episodes in IMAX a few years ago. They did the Inhumans first episode in IMAX. I'm not sure if that really worked out for them, but they're a little more open to doing repertory stuff and stuff like that. So it's a good company for them to partner with. But I think this really benefits like huge movies, which sort of stinks because that's like what Netflix just makes, like big blockbuster stuff. But we'll see. But I think it's interesting that they're sort of, at first this was, Greta Gerwig didn't love that she wasn't going to be in theaters this time. And now it's turned into Netflix figuring out a way to get their stuff more into theaters. Austin says, oh, thank you, Austin said, do you think in the new Captain America movies, Captain America will steal cars like in the 70s and 90s Captain America movies? I hope so. I feel like we'll see. That'll be interesting. Cheers to you, Austin. I actually wanted to bring up that there's a guy who posted this video. I've been meaning to post on this. If I did, I'm sorry if I'm forgetting this. But found out there's a different cut of the Captain America the 90s one, where like they basically put the opening as flashbacks throughout it, and it's like cut in a different way, and it's what the original director wanted, and a lot of people like it a lot more, which was interesting. I didn't know there was an alternative cut to that. I don't know if I watched that a lot as a kid though, the 90s one. I've not seen the 70s one. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hint at it because I actually have a copy, so I know what's gonna happen. There's a different. If anyone can get this, I will give you a thumbs up, I guess. But there's a different superhero movie where the character has wings that I'm going to review closer to Captain America. Although I do want to do those 70s movies at one point, but this one is a movie I've always thought about watching and never have. So it's a superhero movie with wings that I've never reviewed. And actually never seen, but I have a copy, so I'm excited. Anyway, let's talk about musician biopics. And two, which are fucking messy as shit. One is Michael Jackson. The other is the NSYNC one. I will talk about... Man, we're really speeding through this tonight. Oh, well. This might... I don't want to... I promise myself I will not comment on the length of the show because it turns out to be me being very inaccurate. I feel like we might be a little short tonight, but maybe we'll just do a longer question set. Anyway, I'll just talk about the NSYNC one first because it'll be deflated by the Michael Jackson thing. So apparently Neil Moritz, I believe his name is, who does the Sonic movies, also behind the Fast and Furious movies, wants to make an NSYNC biopic around the time of basically about them like breaking off from Lou Pearlman and all that stuff. Apparently the problem is, and this is actually I find really interesting, is I don't know if you should make an NSYNC biopic. Okay, damn it, I guess that was pretty obvious. Good for you, Cornbread. I'll talk more about it in the review, but yeah, I actually got a copy. I felt really good. It's on the Internet Archive. Okay, it's not on Disney Plus, but I found it and I felt really proud of myself. You guys are the only ones I could tell who would be like, what is that? Why would you care about that? Anyway, so I found this interesting in an article. Supposedly NSYNC as a whole is like, why would we make a movie? We don't have a tour. We want to tour closer. Because I do find it odd that Justin Timberlake's career is sort of like not doing great right now. And you'd think he would have just reunited with NSYNC and people would just talk about that. But he seems to like not. I don't know. I don't know what he's thinking exactly. But supposedly this guy's trying to make this movie, and they're like, I don't know, like if we had a tour or something to promote with it, maybe we'd be more interested. Even though they did that Trolls movie, and that they seem to be like not caring about that. And they did a song, right? Nobody remembers the Trolls movie. But what about the world tour? Thank you, Jordan Slavlo. Thank you. Good for you. But apparently every member of NSYNC has a separate manager, and getting all of the management and teams to come together to get this movie to work is like actually a nightmare. So apparently not only do they not want to do it, but dealing with all the different management and timing and commitments between the five of them is actually insanely difficult. And I was just like, I've never heard of a biopic being this. I just found it kind of fascinating that like I wouldn't have thought every single one of them had a different manager. It was very hard to get them together. They're being apprehensive about this whole thing. I was like, Jesus, dude, why would you even try to do that? That sounds horrible. Anyway, it sounds like a real mess, but it makes sense they'd all have different managers. But it's just kind of funny that like apparently it is actually kind of unusual. Most people have the same management who are in a big music group, like Backstreet Boys and New Kids and all those guys and New Edition all sort of mess around together, and NSYNC's like apparently like a mess to figure out. So I didn't know that, but apparently the reason it's not happening is because they don't want it. And yeah, I think Timberlake needs it. If I was him, I'd be like, put a tour together, dude, because the Backstreet Boys still draw people. Anyway, so the actual intro, this was sort of like a thing I just wanted to talk about. I don't know. I just found it interesting. I don't think you could make an NSYNC biopic. Unless you did it like how them being older and reflecting on the time and like what they had done and stuff like that. I think that could be interesting. I think you could do it, but it would have to be like self-critical, and it'll probably end up being like that Sinatra biopic that keeps not happening because the people who own the rights to everything in the name are not interested in being self-reflective, which is also why most of those biopics fucking stink. But is also why Better Man is pretty good. So, the Michael Jackson biopic, supposedly the reason it moved from it was going to be March to October, and a major contributor to that is not just because he's like, obviously bigger in October with Thriller and all that, but supposedly, apparently, the script for the movie called Michael includes the 1993 investigation into sexual abuse allegations, which I was like, I'm surprised they would want to do that, talk about that, but they did. It was made against Jackson by a 13-year-old Jordan Chandler. They were going to talk about it. However, a settlement in that case reportedly includes a clause prohibiting dramatization of the Chandler family that the film's creative team was not aware of until after shooting on the movie was completed, requiring the movie to be reworked. And supposedly, like, all the people they have, including like Coleman Domingo is the dad, and I think there's like other major stars involved, has to be refigured out. And there's even reports like it might not make that October date. Supposedly they wanted to have a big trailer out by now, but they're not sure if that's going to happen. Oh, didn't I do a Captain EO thing? Man, I forgot about that. I should probably edit that at some point. Anyway, but I need to write down, Jesus, make too much stuff. You get lost in that. But I just think it's hilarious. One, that they would try to, Zane Powers I'll get to after this, sorry. One, that they would talk about this at all. If it was me, I would just do 80s and just like, I'd do all the Quincy years and just like, that's it. I guess he made Dangerous. I don't know. But it's insanely hilarious that like this is why it's delayed the movie, and they have to like rework all this stuff, and like they can never actually release that footage because they like sort of fucked up. But wouldn't, like, I think if they have that clause prohibiting them to dramatize it, they did do that though. Like, it doesn't, I don't know the exact thing, but it might say they couldn't make a movie, but they like literally did that though. So couldn't the Chandler family sue them? Because they did it, right? I mean, they did do it. They just haven't like released it. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, none of these reports say like I don't have the contract, but if the contract says they can't do that and doesn't say release, I think they did. But I don't know about this Michael Jackson movie. It sounds like a fucking mess to me. I do not understand why you think making a Michael Jackson biopic is a good idea, and particularly talking about the abuse, the sexual abuse stuff with the kids. I'm just like, I don't know why you would want to do that. I'm assuming they're going to do the thing like because that Chandler family like recanted it or something. It got real weird before he died, and like I know I'm lost on what the deal is with that, because I think the family said they made it up at one point. There's some like rumor about that, and I like get super lost. I think that's not true, but I just think it's like Michael Jackson, look, the 80s, those 3 Quincy albums are classics, and it's really hard to make a best albums of all time list without at least having one of them, if not all 3. But, Bad's, I don't know, we can debate Bad all day, but it just, I don't know why that would be in the movie at all. Anyway, like what are they thinking with that one? Like, it just, why acknowledge that? And I also think like, look, it's best to like, I grew up, Dangerous was a big album when I was a kid, but I kind of think just like stay away from that period. Like, what do you think you're accomplishing? I don't know. I have noticed like they very much in biopics are like, we got to tell the whole story. I'm like, no, you don't, whoa, Is that true, Caden Wolfox? I didn't know that the father admitted he lied and killed himself the year after Michael Jackson died. I didn't know that. But anyway, I just think it's like kind of hilarious. I'm really curious about this movie. I am a big fan of the 80s stuff. I might review Moonwalker around that time. But oh, the documentary, the parents said they were paid off. Oh, okay. But we'll see what's going on with it. To me, it's like I'm still under the impression that you should not talk about that. Like, just literally, it's like after Dangerous. Like, does anyone like? I like the Scream music video, but like, my favorite thing about that period because I had the History album as a kid. Is and Biggie's on it, and there's like a quote of Biggie, and like, isn't it amazing to work with Michael Jackson? He goes, "Hey, money's money," kind of thing. Like he didn't really care, and I was like, that kind of sums up how people felt about him after a certain point. Like I think like he being the biggest star all the time. I think people in the '90s were sort of done with it. So I'm always surprised when people look back on those periods fondly because if you look at people at the time, they're like, I'm just like kind of. I don't want to do this. But it's like funny, like you think Biggie would be like, I worked with Michael Jackson. He's like, I mean, I did get paid. So that was cool. Anyway, you can find it somewhere. Maybe I'll post that and the Shrek fact thing. I'll try to find the Shrek one. I know where to find. The Biggie one might take me away. Anyway, Zane Power says famous actor Justin Timberlake was in a boy band. I don't even know if he's a famous actor anymore. Remember, I will say he picked the worst projects outside of Social Network. Like, why wasn't he in a musical? Like, why didn't that? I always hear about a Guys and Dolls movie happening, but he was always in like action movies, and I was like, I do not want to see you in those. Does anyone like? I never saw Alpha Dog, which I heard was a better one, but like In Time and like it's like he was just not made for that kind of stuff. It's just like a weird. He really should have used like. You should have been in a musical or a dance thing. Anyway. Now I know it was sarcasm. I know. But I'm just saying. Anyway, cheers to you, St. Power. Sorry. I don't know. I think there probably were periods where we were like, wait, he was in a boy band? All right, let's talk about trailers. One is The Wedding Banquet. This is from the makers of Fire Island. It stars... Oh, Caden the Wolffox says, Jim, I've been watching you for 8 years. Oh, cool. I watched you for 8 years. You are a legend. Well, that's very nice of you. I guess so. I don't know about all that, but thank you. I'm glad somebody thinks so. Cheers to you. Thank you. I kind of needed the energy, to be honest with you. Awesome. Where were we? Okay, The Wedding. I do forget. You know what's funny about Runner at the time is it was sort of a follow-up to Rounders. But at the time, because Ben Affleck had become like Argo Ben Affleck, but like early Ben Affleck was all about the fucking monologues. He'd do the Chasing Amy monologue. He did the Boiler Room monologue. Is amazing. Point Break, the Dogman monologue. But then he like stopped doing that, and I remember when Runner people was like, we're gonna get monologue Ben Affleck again, and it like wasn't as good. Like I feel like the hunger of early Affleck was all about these like monologue shit, it's like I think he has a monologue in Good Will Hunting where he talks about how like one day you're not gonna be there and stuff. Anyway, he was really good. I can't do it, but like he was that Boiler Room. It's been a while, but I remember I didn't love Ben Affleck as an actor, but I was like, you give him a monologue, he can really do it. But he doesn't do that in a while. The Accountant doesn't really have monologues. Anyway, The Wedding Banquet. This is with shit. You know what? Sorry. Bowen Yang is in it. It's basically about a bunch of two gay couples who live in an apartment together, who are all Asian, and Kelly Marie Tran from Last Jedi, or anyway, you should watch the trailer. I can't remember people's names, but all these gay couples, and their grandma's coming, and he basically pretends to marry the girl who is also gay, and they have to sort of figure out how to sort of lie to her grandmother, who I think is played by the woman from Minari. I'm not 100% on that. But maybe I'm probably like crediting people who are not in this movie, but it seems like kind of a fun romantic comedy. Fire Island had its moments. I feel like everyone sort of came and went. This looks like a fun romantic comedy, and I like Bowen Yang. He's a fun. He's in this household. He's very well liked. We got a trailer for Sinners. We saw the dual Michael B. Jordans. I don't know. I saw a couple of people saying there were like spoilers. I don't know if there's spoilers. We just got more of like, obviously like one. I thought obviously one was going to become a vampire and stuff like that. So to me, it was like obvious stuff. It looks really interesting. I know people have said that buzz isn't as great, but I'm like kind of curious because I think I would like Ryan Coogler to get back to his kind of audience-friendly movies, because he is damn good at that shit when he really does it. And I don't think Wakanda Forever had those moments that like Creed and the first Black Panther did, where I felt like you could really grab an audience and like make them cheer. And I actually saw both Black Panther and Creed both like opening weekends, and I saw them like weeks later, and the audience still like stood up and cheered, and it was like a month out on a Tuesday in the day. And I was like, and I remember both times I thought, like, that's fucking power over an audience. Like, because I've seen, like, some of the Marvel movies that when you see a 12:01 and everyone's cheering, and then you see them later, and it's like, you know, a dude be like, yeah, got that hammer, neat. But, like, for real, like, I do think that's, like, a real power as a filmmaker if you're able to make that, like, hyped audience and that, you know, very passive, like, I'm just here on my day off shit. Have the same reaction. Like, I do actually think that's right. So I wouldn't mind a horror movie with that kind of thing. I think that'd be cool. I hope it is good. I've heard mixed industry people are not sure about it, but I'm a big Coogler fan, you know. So anyway, the Alien Earth, it's sort of a teaser basically about aliens coming to Earth. It's going to be a show on Hulu. It looks cool. There's not much really to say about that, and that's trailer stuff. Apparently, Inside Llewyn Davis count as a musical? No, I would say that is a movie with music in it. Thank you, Ransan Film. I hope you're doing okay, man. Cheers to you, sir. Truly Timberlake's best role was Boo Boo? Oh, it took me a minute. Yes, he was. I always heard he was good. I never saw that. Maybe I should. Maybe someone will make me see it at some point. Cheers to you, Nathaniel Foga. Thank you for the super chat. Apparently, this is almost a throwback story to me. Apparently, Kevin Hart is making an animated show about his younger years called, like, Lil Kevin. Which, haha, he sure is. He's already Lil Kevin. But I was, like, surprised that we're still doing that. Because remember, like, I think it was, like, Bobby's World started it. And then Life with Louie happened. And then Roseanne had one. Am I getting that order right? If Ryan Walterson's here. Oh, thanks, Dan. Thank you for being here. And you have a good night, man. I like the little hand there. I was just surprised we're still doing, like, celebrities as kids stuff. I'd be curious about Kevin Hart's one. I don't think they did any black comedians ever done. Oh, I guess Everybody Hates Chris. But that was an animated, so I'm sort of still right. Little Ellen? Oh, God. Why do people want to do like them as kids? I find that to be so odd. Anyway, I liked Bobby's World as a kid. I haven't watched that in so cool. Never name your show about your life, Lil. Good point, Nathaniel Foga. Oh yeah, you know what? I'll give Jackie Chan. He actually did a different thing there. Jordan Sluffel. These are good picks there. All right. We're gonna talk about. Oh, I'm going kind of long here. I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, so we hear The Places You Go, the Dr. Seuss book, is going to get a March 2028 release from Warner Brothers, from John Cho and Jill Colton are directing the film. apparently they have a high priority for it. They want to do an animated musical thing. I am like not. Wait, there's that animated Little Howard Stern pilot. I didn't even know. That's crazy. I'm curious about this. I'm not super high on the Dr. Seuss movies. I don't know this book as well. I'm kind of like, if they think they can do something, good for them. And two stories before we talk about box office. Devil in the White City apparently is happening. This has been a long gestating project. Keanu was involved at some point when it was going to become a show, and then it's not a show. It's basically about this guy with this kind of house of horrors where he'd come and kill people around the Chicago World's Fair, I believe. And his house had all these ways to like kill people and stuff. And supposedly DiCaprio's been attached to be the villain. Apparently is. And him and Scorsese are looking at it a little more now that the Sinatra thing again fell apart. So whatever. Supposedly there's going to be an Ocean's 14, and it'll be directed by David Leitch. To be 100% honest with you about the Green Eggs and Ham was good. Good point, Ryan Wilcherson. I never was an Ocean's fan as much because to me it was the big blockbuster Soderbergh was doing, and I was much more interested in like his smaller, weirder stuff when the first one came out. So like, I know a lot of people my age have a fondness for those movies, but to me they were like a means to an end. Like they were his thing for the studio. They weren't a cool thing. And now I've noticed like everyone my age is like, aren't they so cool? They're so cool in those. And it's like, really? I thought they were like the sellout bullshit movie he did. But whatever. I guess people that's like, I really remember people going like, oh, he's just like doing a careerist thing, and then he'll make, the Limey 2 or whatever the fuck. And I never, I don't know, maybe I should revisit them. I saw Ocean's 11 like the day it came out because I was such a Soderbergh fan then, but I never saw the other two. I was just like not interested. I'm like, good for him, but to me it's like if he's not doing it, I could give a fuck. Like I just don't. I don't understand why you would want not him. Like it, or David Leitch to me is not an Ocean's guy. He's like gonna make a David Leitch movie. He's not gonna make a Ocean's Soderbergh thing. So, all right. So we're gonna talk about. Sorry if I'm going a little long here. I want to talk about the box office because there's actually a lot of hope, and I think a lot of people are missing it. Not with number one, that's Flight Risk, which didn't actually do. Everyone's like, man, Mel Gibson is back. I'm like, I don't know if an $11 million number one box office thing is like really being like back, but whatever. I forgot about Waynehead. You're right. You guys are educating me on all this. Sorry. But there is, although certain movies like, the one thing I wanted to, yeah, okay. 2025 movies are not doing great, but it's also January. Like Den of Thieves, Pantera went down 54%. Wolfman fell 70%. We haven't had a really good box office in terms of 2025 yet. However, One of Them Days is holding really well. It's at number 3, and it's in its second week. It only went down 32%, which is pretty good for a movie, especially like it's a non-franchise thing. It's definitely getting word of mouth. It only has about $25 million, but that's doing better than, the Wolfman, and it's holding well, which I actually think is really cool. So as much as everyone's like, oh, the box office hasn't hit yet and stuff like that, the fact that we're having a hit like that is actually really good, especially because the box office all works on, and this is 100% true, previous success, and there isn't a previous success for One of Them Days, so thus why you kind of haven't heard too much comparisons, because there is no comparisons. There's no like black female comedy comparisons that are in recent memory to compare it to, but the fact that this is doing well will actually open up more possibilities for those kind of movies, which I think is actually really good, because I don't think anyone at the studios like remembers like Girls Trip or like any of those successes. So that's actually really cool. But that it's holding so well. But I also think like SZA is huge right now, who's in it. So there's like certain elements to that, and I feel like it could hold like up to the Super Bowl really well. I would like to see it. I Kind of want to see Presence a lot. So I don't know, but at some point I'd like to see it. Mufasa is still doing well at number 2, only falling 28%. Sonic 3 is on course to be the highest grossing live action, I want to say this, live action video game movie. Obviously Super Mario Brothers is the highest grossing one, but it is outgrossed at least worldwide. It's past Warcraft, and it will pass Rampage and Detective Pikachu and then become that. Moana 2 has made over $1 billion. Presence, which is a Soderbergh film, didn't cost that much. It cost about like $1 million. And supposedly it's getting judged unfairly. Almost every box office analyst is bringing up that it is being unfairly judged, because it didn't really cost that much. They shot it in 11 days for like $1 million. Typically, if like, let's say IFC put this out, that's what they do, is they basically, let it make a few $1 million, then put it on VOD, and they make back their money and make a little extra. And that seems to be what they're doing here, because this movie didn't cost anything. They're not having a big ad spend. It's actually not that big of a flop as much as people are saying it is. So it's actually doing fine for what it's supposed. It's supposed to be doing what it's doing, and that's fine. We are seeing some movies post the Oscars do well. A Complete Unknown only fell 17%, which is the lowest drop off of the entire top 10. I think what's helping Complete Unknown is the Oscar nominations. Now that got kind of murky because films set to expand because they thought the nominations would come out earlier, and that didn't happen. But the combo of the Oscar nominations, and even I would actually say Timothée Chalamet's SNL probably helped that as well, since he played like his own Bob Dylan songs and stuff. I thought that was a really good I thought that was actually a really cool thing to do. I didn't love his performances or anything, but I thought it was like a smart promotion wise, and probably will help him at the Oscars. And then The Brutalist expanded to 700 more theaters and went up 45%. We're not really seeing much in the way of other Oscar things other than Complete Unknown and The Brutalist, but like certain things have already been out. September 5th didn't really take off. Nickel Boys is expanding, but we're not really seeing much. And I'm Still Here is just opening, so we'll see about that. And yeah. I think that's everything for that. I don't know. It is crazy how much The Wolfman fell the fuck off. Oh, and also, Better Man's not reporting box office numbers. So, according to me, it was the number one movie at the box office, made $1 billion. Since there is nothing to dispute that, because they're not reporting numbers. It's not actually. Is it even on here? I don't see it on here. So, The Better Man did really well this past weekend. There's nothing to tell me it did or didn't. So, why not? I think it's unfortunate, but a lot of people were saying they should have had Robbie Williams do more talk shows and stuff like that, but we'll see. All right. I'm going to take a break, and then we'll talk about Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the first 2 episodes at least. Then we'll do questions, and then that will be it. Yeah. So I will be, hold on, right back. Wait, where's the thing? It's doing Better Man. Nah. Nice. Okay, where are we? Okay, I'll be right back after this, and I will conclude this stream. Thank you for being here, and I will be right back. Okay. That wasn't too long or anything. I think we're, doing pretty good on time. All right. I guess if you want to do a super chat, I would like to end around 12:30, 12:35. So this is your last chance to do so if, of course, you would like to. Okay. All right. So the first two episodes of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. So I watched these two episodes, and before this show came out, I saw the trailer, and I didn't really like the design whatsoever. I thought it was actually pretty bad. I know they changed the design from what was originally shown to us, and I don't like it at all. And seeing an episode of it, it doesn't feel like New York City. It feels a little too organized and not really. It sort of feels like Queens, but also feels like the most they understand about New York was from like the PlayStation 2 Spider-Man game where you ran around the cities and stuff, which if they had a real perspective with the design of what they were doing would have been cool, but it just sort of looked like that weird like computer eyes like thing. I really didn't like that. And then I kind of, at the beginning of it, I sort of was wondering, well, what is so different about this Spider-Man show? And, like, what is the point of having a new Spider-Man cartoon at this point? We've had so many. Like, why have, like, one like this? Like, I get, like, having Spidey and His Amazing Friends for little kids. I get having Spectacular Spider-Man. I get, like, having other ones. And there's been so many over the years. What is your perspective here? I don't think these two episodes answered that, although it feels like they did sort of at the end. And we won't really understand that. This also felt like it was recapturing moments from other Spider-Man movies, not comics. I would say one thing would be where the spider comes from, which is like this random thing at the beginning. And then the other thing would be like when Norman Osborn shows up, felt right out of, I guess it's out of Civil War, actually. And it just like kind of like was like, do you have a point by referencing these things, or are you just like lazy? Which the show never really answered, to be honest with you. I didn't, and there was some like really extremely unnatural dialogue, like at the opening where Peter is in the car with Aunt May and he's like, really proud of you. You've done so much after Uncle Ben died. And he's like saying all this stuff. And I'm just like sitting there like, what the fuck is it? Like, it just sounds so unnatural in some places. Like, in some places they'll nail the teen stuff, but other places it feels like we have to get this exposition out, so we're just gonna have him say it, and it feels so clunky. I don't really understand like what they were thinking with that dialogue, honestly. I didn't really like it for the most part. I thought like, it doesn't really understand what it's doing. It's like referencing certain things, but I don't think it really understands what its perspective is. I didn't understand the point of it. And then the end of the second episode has a major revelation. And then the episode ends. And I was like, wait, so what? And it's like, is this because of post the MCU Spider-Man's is now when we do the origin story stuff, we sort of like draw it out rather than have it be immediate like you used to. I'm not sure. I'm a little curious. I'm actually probably gonna watch the third episode because I'm curious, even though I wasn't feeling like I'd curious. I actually didn't want to finish the second episode. I'm glad I did because I was like, okay, that's interesting. But I didn't feel that way about the rest of it. I felt like, wait, you're taking this from that? Like, it's like, I get that Spider-Man and Batman are these two characters who their parent companies feel like they always have to have content coming out, and they're not thinking about this perspective or what would be different about it or anything like that. But this is like kind of the redundant quality of that kind of stuff, where you just like, you're like, okay, we're just doing Spider-Man because we can, but we have like no perspective. And like, maybe this twist will like make it all worth it, but the fact that I'm watching, 2 episodes of them sort of like figure out what the hell it is without telling me why this is unique isn't a great start to this show. And I just don't understand like why you would even make it, why you would choose this ugly ass like what if style or anything like that. And the writing's just not there. I don't, other than Coleman Domingo as Norman Osborn, which I like Coleman Domingo. The rest of it is pretty like unremarkable and pretty forgettable. I am curious to see what comes. I am curious to see what comes next. They did intrigue me. They did get my curiosity. Thank you, Nathaniel Foga. But they don't have me passionate about it. I'm not going to be like, oh, I can't wait. I'm just sort of like, I guess we're doing this. And like, okay, that's how we're going to do another Spider-Man. But I really wish this had, when I watched the first Spectacular Spider-Mans, I was a fan of that show instantly. A lot of those, I've seen so many animated versions of the show, and I immediately go, oh, this is different. And when I watched this, I immediately went like, how is this any different? Other than like his janky ass suit and stuff. I don't really understand why this show thinks that I would want to watch it, and I don't think it really understood how to get me to watch it. And so I'm just sitting there going like, I guess this is another Spider-Man thing. And like when we're doing that, you sort of like lost the plot of like the thrill and what's awesome about the character, rather than just like hitting the moments with bad design. Just like none of this feels like creatively interesting or warranting another version of Spider-Man or having a new Spider-Man cartoon. So far, I'm open to see where it goes based on the ending of episode 2. I hope it works out. But right now, I'm just not really feeling this so far. Okay, that might be like a short, I don't know, like a vertical video thing. All right. Let's do questions. I'll just do... Sorry, I don't know if anyone expected me to... Questions below. Let's see. I do have something to say about that cornbread, actually. I saw someone post that, but I'll talk about it later. Okay. Did anyone post... Wait, what's this? Okay. All right, so 2 questions. One, Nathaniel Foga, favorite year for movies. A lot of people say 39. Favorite movie I witnessed for movies, I'd say 1999, because there's just so many good things, and I got to see a lot of them, and it was just like really thrilling. So this is one, I would say 90, 100. I always say 99, just because I was young, and I was first getting into movies. It was so exciting. And after that, I don't know. I kind of like... There's certain moments of 2013. There's certain moments of like... I can't think of what the 2010s one would be. 2012? I don't know. Anyway. Sinram asks, and this is a good question, and I like this question. Last week you said you were surprised by The Lighthouse getting a cinematography nomination because typically the Academy honors pretty looking films instead of films that have a theory behind their cinematography. I have struggled to understand the different forms of film theory, and cinematography theory is something I understand even less. How do you define cinematography theory? Why do you believe that awarding a cinematography simply for excellent lighting, framing, and focus is insufficient? Okay. No, this is... I legitimately really like this question. So what I mean by that is like... So The Lighthouse is sort of filmed in this old-timey, sort of interesting way with black and white cinematography. I think it's in 4:3 and stuff like that. So that's like... You're specifically being like, I'm shooting this movie, but I'm shooting it as is a different thing. There was a Wuthering Heights a few years ago that was shot in 4:3. There's like a theory behind like... what the camera is, the perspective the camera is coming from, and things like that. Not every film has to do that necessarily. I do find it more interesting, like in Presence, which I haven't seen yet. I plan to see it soon. Like the camera is the ghost, and you see things from its perspective. Or like In a Violent Nature, which came out this year, where you see everything from the killer's perspective. Or like in Halloween, where Dean Cundey made that amazing, one of the most famous shots of all time, where it is from Michael Myers' perspective, and then they did the same thing in the first Friday the 13th. A lot of films don't have that. They're just, doing the shots and laying them out and figuring them out storyboard wise, and that's fine. There's a thing behind that, but I do think it's like it is interesting and it is sort of an artistic achievement if you're able to use the cinematography to do sort of use a theory behind it other than like capturing these moments and things like that. I wish they would reward that a bit more, and like so they didn't do Wuthering Heights or they didn't do like Meek's Cut Off and like stuff like that because it doesn't adhere to having typically beautiful vistas and stuff like that. I shouldn't really thumb my nose at that stuff. I think some of that stuff can be really amazing. I also don't like that they just nominate the same crap that's nominated for all the other categories. That has always annoyed me. But typically it's like we're shooting this movie under the guise of this. So they have to come at it from a specific theory or from a specific idea, and like they understand this is what the camera represents. However, in a lot of films, is the camera doesn't really necessarily represent anything. It's just a camera that's taking on, that's just capturing the moments and capturing the story, which is fine. I guess there's different, but I do wish they would show that more because there's different things you can do with the camera itself. I hope that answers that. That was a good question. I hope that answer warranted that. Or got that, or something. Or like Nickel Boys. Supposedly Nickel Boys. I think this is because I was talking about Nickel Boys. It's from a certain perspective. So the camera is a character, actually. It's not just capturing the moments, I guess. So I think there's like a theory behind like the camera moves in a certain way because it's representing this. And whereas in an action movie, you're just like kind of capturing or moving with the tension and stuff. So it's like there's more of a theory behind it. So okay. Austin. Of course, Austin said hate. Oh, also, I have, don't I have, I thought I had, hold on. Before we do Austin, I had two from last week that they did late. If you're going to do a Patreon question, you can do them later, but it's hard for me to see them. I don't think I did at least one of these, so I'll answer both. Do you think without the Amelia Perez nominee sweep, the online outrage would migrate to the substance? No. I think you have to have a movie for them to be outraged for. It's like I've heard people say, well, if it wasn't Green Book, they would hate this. I'm like, no, I don't actually agree with that. I don't think that's true. So, but thank you for that, Ms. L. Torres. Sorry, I did not see that last week. Jordan Bouchard, I forget if I answer this or not, so I'll just do it again. What do you believe needs to happen to change the way the entertainment industry views the medium of animation for good / permanently? I think a lot of people have a very dismissive attitude towards mediums that are not, like I said, like I think they like things at face value. I think they like things that feel that they're in their age range, appropriate, things like that. And I think a lot of people don't really like to mess outside of that. So I think like you would have to ask for more sort of media literacy and people wanting to mess with their own interpretations of what a movie is, what entertainment is. And I think there's more people who are open to that than there used to be. But most people just want to watch the same kind of shit all the time and want to disregard it because they feel of superiority or whatever, disregarding. I think it's unfortunate. But I do think animation's making a lot of strides in that. And I kind of think it's getting better every year, but it's not there yet. Okay. And Austin. I got to do Austin last. Sorry, Austin. It's just like, I feel like I need to. It's like a good way to end it. I don't know. Hey, Jim, what a great show you had tonight. Sorry I had to re-question. I thought I wrote it out earlier. Maybe I didn't post it or something. Anyway, my question, which is last and up next, is Cornbread's question. Just had a thought on the week of April 1st movie crap. Could you do my question first that week? My question is, maybe, I hope I remember. Remind me when we do it. My question is, do you think we will get a reboot of Star Trek The Next Generation, and who would you like to cast those characters? I'm actually surprised that hasn't happened. I think maybe because of the Picard reboot, like if they ever do another movie and stuff like that. I don't know. That would be tough. I think like Josh O'Connor would be in there, but I don't know who. And I don't know who would be. Yeah, that would be tough. But like, who would be Picard? I think like you would have to go with maybe Coleman Domingo, or maybe like more of a. I think it would have to be a lot more diverse. I don't even know who would be Worf. Like, Aldous Hodge, but it's like you couldn't get like a big person. You'd probably have to get someone who do. So I don't know, but I do think eventually we'll get a TNG reboot. I think that will happen at some point. Caden the Wolfheart. Hey Jim, thank you again for the stream tonight. I really needed this discussion this week. Cheers. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Cheers to you. I really appreciate it. That's awesome of you. Thank you. All right. Where did we start? Where did we start? Okay, there we go. Okay. Cornbread asks, and I didn't want to. I saw someone post it on Patreon, but I have an actual thing with this. How do you feel about, or on Discord, not Patreon, I was on the Discord, said, how do you feel about American Dad playing tribute to Australia's iconic culture by including Australians' iconic cartoon character Felix the Cat in its most recent episode? I would actually like to watch this Family Guy episode. I didn't want to talk about it based on like the few pictures, so I'm gonna try to seek that out to figure. Yeah, I will try to seek that out. Maybe we'll talk about it next week because I'm a little curious about it. Everyone was saying it's the first time a lot of those characters are on TV. I'm like, they are on MeTV Tunes regularly, so I don't know. Not plausible. Soup or man? Gonna say man? I don't. What? Okay. Black Sea Axel Gold. Do you think the Spider-Man show would be better if they made it a Paul Blart show instead? Yeah, actually, I would, to be honest with you. Zane Powers, when did you first realize movies that were announced like 5 years ago and had no news about them since aren't being actively developed and aren't going to come out? That's a good question. Probably hearing Tarantino hype up like the Vega brothers. Like, there was so much stuff about that. So, the Santa Foga, favorite practical effect. I practical effect. Probably like something from Star Wars, like the original like land speeder where it's just like they smudged under the thing, or probably something from John Carpenter's The Thing. Same Powers, did you ever watch G4, the gamer TV channel? I knew it was on, and I was in dorm rooms when it was on, but I never really watched it because I wasn't really a gamer or anything. But I was definitely in rooms when it was on, and I was like, okay, this is what gaming. I remember people had it on a lot, like when big games would come out, like people would turn it on, like it's like they got to watch the coverage of the election or something. Black Seahawks and Winkle, what is the most unbelievable movie you've ever seen come out? As in, you can't believe it actually got made. Megalopolis. 100%, because I heard about that for so long. Medilla Butterfly, what superhero should get an animated series? You know who should? Wonder Woman, because she's never had one. That would be number one. Let's say I did a DC. Marvel. Captain America doesn't actually have an animated show. Some big people, you'd be surprised how many big comic book characters don't have one. I guess I'd also say I'm surprised Power Pack never worked out, and they tried so many times. So maybe I'll just say that. I can't think of somebody else right now, but I know they tried a bunch of times. The Rocket Lomax, what would you do to make a Spider-Man adaptation different? I mean, that's the other thing. There's been so many. I was actually thinking, what if Aunt May... Because it was like, I guess like we had old lady Aunt May, and then it became... when Marissa Tomei took over around that time, became like hippie Aunt May. And I was like, wouldn't it be interesting, or if a superhero had this where like their parents were super like MAGA and they are a superhero and the MAGA people are against the superhero. I was like, I don't know if that would work for Aunt May, but I was like, that could work for somebody. I think it could work for somebody. I don't know if that would work for Aunt May necessarily. But I think something like that with a character correct. So Spider-Man, I think like also like if you just did the Ditko original, like every episode was a different amazing Spider-Man comic, that would be interesting to me. I'd be interested, and like use the Ditko design and stuff. I think that would be cool, to be honest with you. But what's your white whale of movie adaptations you want to see? White whale of movie adaptations. There's been so many that I guess a better New Mutants, another Mystery Science Theater 3000 movie. I guess those would be. I can't, because there's been so many that I never thought would happen. Maybe If they ever made a Confederacy of Dunces, I don't know. Do I have that book? Oh, I do still have it. Okay. Um, Question: have you ever wished you lived in some point in time before the year 1900 because life was better back then? Fuck no. No, never felt that way. Cornbread: not counting the 4 Plus Spidey show, when was the last time you've seen any episode of a new Spider-Man show? Not saying the new one is good, but I think you'd like the last two less. I mean, Spidey is Amazing Friends I've seen. So I'd say that one would be, because my kids watch that regularly, so that one would count. Ransan Film asks, favorite John Carpenter score? Probably Escape from New York, because I've actually listened to that one more separately. I think the Halloween score is great, but it's like, I never really want to listen to the Halloween score outside of the movie. You know what I mean? Like, some of them, it's like, I just like them in the movie. The only one I like outside of and in the movie is Escape from New York, I would say. Zane Powers, how does it make you feel knowing the reason why it's your fault if you get hit by a car in the street instead of the driver because big automobile companies campaign for jaywalking laws? I mean, yeah, I know that cars are, we give them too much, I think. Vento Samurai, what made you become a movie reviewer? Just liking movies and feeling like I could, I don't know if it's true or not, but feeling like I could add a perspective and stuff like that. Kind of, when I felt like, I needed a creative outlet, and I think those kind of elements to it. And I didn't like the rise of like the kind of average person boring critic, and I wanted to just be like someone who liked film history and filmmaking and stuff. So I guess those are the reasons. Zane Powers and Nickel Boys or Nickelback? I would see Nickel Boys, but I'll say Nickel Boys. Al Vasquez, would you have preferred if they just did a revival of the 90s Spider-Man cartoon a la X-Men 97? I don't have as much nostalgia from the 90s Spider-Man show, but at least that's a perspective. So, in a sense, yes. So, Cornbread, low-key hoping this is brought up next week because the story is funny, but the news broke very late. Are you heartbroken over Justin Baldoni's Pac-Man movie falling apart? Is cinema over? I have sort of been avoiding that Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni story because it's like just a mess and like keeps going and adding parts, and I'm just like, I don't know what either are trying to do and like what the end game is for either of them. Like, I'm like, and also like I saw It Ends With Us. Why would he do a Pac-Man movie? Like, I don't understand like what in his direction would I think it's probably best he didn't, because I don't really see him doing it. Like, when I saw it, I was like, the fuck? Just the fuck? No. Not plausible. Every superhero's work, it came with the concept of fighting social justice. That, you know what? Good point. Nathaniel Foga, favorite Dr. Seuss book. I want to say Count in the Hat, but I do like the Foot book is pretty good. Zane Powers, what's the single worst take someone you previously know has ever made? And nothing racist or sexist. No cop out by saying something woke. There's this girl in college, it's Ocean's 11 related, and she would always argue with me that Ocean's 11 was like a small movie, and a couple people would do that, and I'd always be like, but like George Clooney and Brad Pitt are like huge stars. Like, there was a Barbara Walters special interviewing the cat. Like, I'd bring up so many like, how could you think this? And so many people would be like, no, you know what? That's just how I've always viewed it. And I'm like, this is stupid. And I still don't understand what they thought. They were like, you don't know who these major movie stars are? Like, I don't, and they were in film school. That's like one I still think about that because I'm still confused. Like, did you think you're like showing me you don't pay attention, or like, what did you think? Anyway, Chan talks more movies. Is there anything now on Disney Plus you want on there? More cartoons. They really don't have enough of the old cartoons. They don't have any of the original Mickey Mouse in the public domain. They like, why don't they have them? Like, if they're not like racist or sexist or something, I don't really understand that. I think it would be cool. Zane Powers, if we're getting a Little House on the Prairie, yeah, I know. What 50-year-old or older sitcom do you want to revive next? A Brady Bunch, but better written, I think would actually kind of work. So, Idris Elba would be a good pick for Worf. Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm sorry, I messed up American Dad with Family Guy. Al Vasquez, favorite Sonic cartoon. Gotta go with The Adventures of Sonic from the 90s, of course. Austin, is for Al Vasquez, who do you love, Craven the Hunter, and why do you get no more movie suggestions? He loves... Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Zane Powers, what's a case where someone likes a shitty movie or part of a shitty movie, ironically, so much they end up thinking it's actually good and it drove you mad? I have seen people overwatch a bad movie. It's like having a bunch of time. It doesn't drive me mad. It's just like, okay. What was it? Oh my God. The Life Aquatic came out when I was in film school. And people tell me, if you watch it like 5 times, it's actually pretty good. And I was like, why would you watch it that many times? That's another thing I'm still confused about. Like, I was like, yeah, but why would you watch it that many times? I never understood. What if they made a Spider-Man cartoon, but he sucks and is a jerk? Would say, actually, you know what? I wouldn't be against that. I think that's a cool idea. Al Vasquez, I read some report a while back that the YFN, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man show was going to be 2D, but they couldn't work with it. Are 2D shows becoming scarce? Unfortunately, I think so. Al Vasquez, or at least, yeah, I think maybe I don't know why they're not. Austin asks, will you talk more about King Ralph and the reference King Ralph more? I'll try to. I guess I just did. Zane Powers, are we a normal person reviewers compared to you? No, I think it's just, I don't know. It's like the schmoes know people and stuff like that. Is really what I was talking about. Caden the Wolf Fox. What is the greatest cartoon of all time? Probably something with Bugs Bunny. I'm not sure. Nathaniel Fogo, would you recommend White House to anyone? Oh, good night, Austin. I'm almost done. Probably not. Unless you're drunk, I guess, then it's okay. All right. So that was the show tonight. I want to thank, hold on. I want to thank Bloxy Oxwinkle, Classic, Cameron, Zane Powers, Austin, Zane Powers, Caden the Wolf Fox, Ransan Film, Nathaniel Foga, and Caden the Wolf Fox for the super chats tonight. Cheers to you there. This weird energy drink. What? Oh, he has a lot of. He probably has a ton of. It'd be cool to have Monkey Bone merch. That'd be actually kind of neat. I think that's cool. Anyway, thank you all very much for being here. Sorry, this was there weren't any real big news and stuff. Sometimes, some weeks it works out, some weeks it doesn't. I think there will definitely at least be the movie review vote out tomorrow. Maybe there'll be another one. We'll see. And all that. Thank you, Simran, for being here. Thank you, everyone. Cornbread, Austin, Nathaniel Foga, Al Vasquez, Caden the Wolf Fox, everybody who's here, I can see. Appreciate it. It was a crazy day, and it's good to end it this way. I hope to see you all next week. I don't know if it'll be a Wednesday or a Thursday. We will deal with that next week. And I hope you like the videos this weekend. And I hope you have a good night and are taking care of yourself in these crazy times. All right, I will see you all next week, I hope. Enjoy the future videos. Enjoy the movie review vote. See some... one last super chat, brother. You great as always. Thank you, Kate and the Wolf. I really appreciate that at the end there. Why isn't it... Oh, I'm on the wrong... Sorry, I was trying to... Okay, there we go. It was not letting me like it. I will give you a final... Okay, that was cool. Thank you there, sir. Thank you. Thank you. What? Fucking... Wait, what just happened? YouTube's being weird. Okay. Sorry. Cheers to you. I hope the stream didn't... Sorry, the thing that controls it on YouTube just needs to Anyway, that's it. We're done. YouTube's decided it's over. Cheers to you, Caden. Thank you for your generosity and everyone who gave us a super chat. Have a good night. Thank you all. I will see you all next time. Have a good night and subscribe if you would like to and all that stuff. Peace out. See you next time.